Madam President, it was a month ago that the Dobbs decision was handed down on one of the most controversial issues in American politics, the issue of abortion and reproductive health. We know that Justice Alito's opinion, a 6-3 decision, overturned Roe versus Wade. And since then, we have been trying to sort out the impact of that decision on America. There are many things that have happened which have been shocking in the fact that they have called into question some of the things that we had accepted for 50 years as constitutionally guaranteed rights. Yes, there was a 10-year-old girl who was viciously raped and turned up pregnant in the state of Ohio. And yes, under the law in the state of Ohio, because she was 6 weeks and 3 days pregnant, she couldn't qualify for a procedure to terminate her pregnancy in the state of Ohio. She had to go to Indiana, the neighboring state. And there were those who disputed that it ever happened and denied that such a thing could occur, and it turned out they were wrong. It did happen. I was saddened to read that one of the leaders in the Right to Life movement said she should carry that baby to term, a 10-year-old girl. Madam President, I'm sure you've seen a lot of 10-year-old young people, and I've seen them too in my household and among my grandchildren. At that age, you're still questioning whether they could cross a busy street without help. And to think that someone would say she should carry that baby to term ignores her own health and ignores the reality of this situation. That's the kind of rhetoric we're hearing from people who are proposing a national ban on abortions. I was reading this morning an article in the New York Times which I would ask consent to place in the record.
Without objection.
Madam President, I want to read this because it tells you the complications that have been created by what seemed like a very simple decision, overturning a previous Supreme Court case. This writer, Gina Kolata, wrote an article entitled "After Roe, Urgent Questions About Cancer Care." It was in this morning's New York Times, no, I'm sorry, it was in Sunday's New York Times, July 24th, 2022. I was struck by this article because it suggests the complexity of this issue and the real-world impact of the decision. And I quote it. In April of last year, Rachel Brown's oncologist called with bad news. At age 36, she had an aggressive form of breast cancer. The very next day, she found out she was pregnant after nearly a year of trying with her fiancé to have a baby. She'd always said she would never have an abortion, but the choices she faced were wrenching. If she had the chemotherapy that she needed to prevent the spread of her cancer, she could harm the baby. If she didn't have it, the cancer could spread and kill her. She had 2 children, ages 2 and 11, who would lose their mother. For Miss Brown and others in the unlucky sorority of women who receive a cancer diagnosis when they're pregnant, the Supreme Court decision in Dobbs ending the constitutional right to an abortion can seem like a slap in the face. If the life of a fetus is paramount, a pregnancy can mean a woman cannot get effective treatment for her cancer. 1 in 1,000 women who get pregnant each year are diagnosed with cancer, meaning thousands of women are facing serious, possibly fatal diseases while they're expecting a baby. Before the Supreme Court decision, a pregnant woman with cancer was already entering a world with tremendous unknowns, said Dr. Clifford Hudis, the Chief Executive Officer of the American Society of Clinical Oncology. Now, not only the women, but also the doctors and hospitals that treat them are caught up in the added complications of an abortion ban. If a doctor can't give a drug without fear of damaging a fetus, is that going to compromise outcomes? Dr. Hudis asked. It's a whole new world. Cancer drugs are dangerous for fetuses in the first trimester. Although older chemotherapy drugs are safe in the second and third, the safety of newer and more effective drugs is unknown, and doctors are reluctant to give them to a pregnant woman. This woman decided to terminate her pregnancy, take the cancer therapy, and save her life. She closes with the following statements. Having gone through that grueling treatment, she wondered how she could ever have handled having a newborn baby and her other 2 children to care for. My bones ached. I couldn't walk for more than a few steps without being out of breath. It was hard to get nutrients because of nausea and vomiting, she said. The Supreme Court decision hit her hard. Quote, I felt like the reason I did what I did didn't matter, she said. My life didn't matter, and my children's lives didn't matter. It didn't matter if I lost my life because I was being forced to be pregnant. That is the reality today I hear my colleagues come to the floor with absolute certain moral clarity on this issue. I have learned during the course of my life and my public life that there is not that element of certainty when it comes down to real life. And to jeopardize the health, the safety, even the life of a mother in this circumstance, and to leave doctors wondering if they have criminal liability for professional medical care is something this nation should never see, but we face it now. And it's up to us to show leadership and come together, I hope, and bring back the constitutional protections that have been in the case for 50 years in this country. Madam President, I yield the floor.